Hello and welcome to my another demo and presentation on an interesting topic, which is to configure Azure cross-tenant VNET peering. And this has been often asked, and sometimes people think it's too complicated. To me, it's a very straightforward thing. It's a low-hanging fruit that people can take advantage of whenever there is a requirement or a business or technical use case may be, right? So it's very straightforward. That's why this would be one of my shortest video, I hope. And in this case, I have got two different Azure tenant. As you see here, I have got AZ80 Lab on one side, and then I have AZ Entra on the other side. Two separate tenant. I have got two VNets to show you. One is this VNet here, another VNet here. We would be configuring VNet pairing and testing between these two virtual machines, right? So this is very straightforward at a very high level. The high level steps, if you want to just quickly peek into, we would invite the user from another Azure tenant, right? And that would be a B2B account. Many of you are already familiar with this. I have a series of identity access management videos on Azure. If you need to know more, you're more than welcome to watch my identity access management series on YouTube. The second part is that we need to ensure that this user that you are inviting from the another Azure tenant has adequate network contributor role there, so that this user can configure the network VNet peering. That goes without saying. User would have to accept the invitation. And then on our side, where we are configuring the peering, the person that is going to execute this task should also have at least a network contributor role, and we need to get the VNET resource IDs from both sides and then configure the VNet peering. It's a very simple task, low-hanging fruit. Many times we struggle with it, but I think this lab would explain you and help you understand how quickly you can accomplish it. Let's get into the lab. So folks, I'm in my one of my Azure Active Directory tenant. As I showed you in the slide, the tenant name is AZ80 Lab. That's my domain here. As we discussed, we're going to invite a user that has the rights into the another Azure Active Directory, and let's do that quickly. So we'll invite an external user, and name is also going to be. All right, that's all I need to do. I need to invite this user. I'm not adding him into any group right now. Very simple. I'm going to allow him, invite it, and that invitation should reach to this user shortly. Let's look into. So folks, I have received that B2B invitation, right? This is the invitation. Let's test cross-tenant VNet peering. Accept the invitation. And just accept it. All right, so that's all good. Now we need to go back and allow this user the network contributor role on the VNet. And I'm in my resource group new. Here is the VNet 15, which is what we are going to configure the VNet peering. One thing to ensure that you should not overlap the address spaces. That could be a problem, right? So in my scenario here, my range is very straightforward, 192.168.0.024 class C VNet, and we'll see on the other side, right? So going back here on my resource group, I need to do the RBAC and access control IAM. I need to give this user that we just added and add not the custom role. We need to assign a role, and I can give him a contributor or a network contributor. For the timing, I'm just giving him contributor to be quick, and select members. We should see that account that we have created there. That should be a guest account right here. Cool. Select. Next. Review and assign. And this user has the rights now, right? All right, so I'm logged into my another Azure tenant as this account. This guy, this is our domain name here. Sorry, Azure Active Directory tenant name here. I have configured the primary domain. Doesn't really matter for this. Now let's see what the rights this user has on the resource group. Basically, this is the default user, so it should have the ownership right here. If I go here and check my access, I should have the ownership right here. So I can modify and create the network peering. Now I duplicated this tab here, and this is the same account, but I switched the directory to AZ-AT lab just by going here. I don't need to switch it back again, but I switched here, right? So I already switched to AZ-AT lab. I'm not going to switch here. And let's look at the rights that we gave to this guy here. And this guy should have the rights as contributor that we gave in the last tab. And if I say my access here, I have the contributor rights. Perfectly good. Okay. Now let's create the VNET peering, which would be a quick task. So right now I'm AZ-AT lab. I'm gonna go to my VNET. This is my VNET. I'm gonna go to the peering, and I'm gonna add a peering. Call it as cross tenant, just for the sake. And the thing that I need to do here is that I'm allowing everything. You don't need to change anything. And I just need to check this box here. I know my resource ID. I'm not creating the remote virtual network here, right? Which is what generally you would do. I'm just leaving this option wide open. And I need to get the resource ID for my other VNet, which is in the other Azure Active Directory tenant. So if I go to this guy here, and this is my VNet here. This is my properties of the VNet. I can get the resource ID quickly out of it here. I go to my tenant where I need to configure the peering. Pick it up. It will ask me to authenticate to the directory. Right now I need to authenticate to, right now I'm already logged into AZ-AT lab. So if I do this here, I authenticate here. And I authenticate with the same ID that I gave the rights. I should be good, and now I can add the VNET peering. I click add, and now virtual VNET peering is being added. Successfully added. It is initiated because it is not done on the other side, so we do need to do the same thing on the other side. So we did here. Now we go to the other side, and I'm on the MDI VNET. I will go to the peering now. I would create a peering here. I will call it as a cross tenant. And same thing, I know my resource ID. This time I need to take the resource ID of this VNET. So I need to go to the properties here, capture it here, and just paste it here. Again, it's going to ask me, right now I'm in AZ. I need to authenticate to the AZ-AT lab. Authenticate. I can actually authenticate the same account. I have the rights, and I click add, and it should create, and now status should change to connected, right, once it is completed. Voila, and this is now connected here, cross tenant here, connected to VNET 15. Same way, if I go to the VNET 15 here, and if I check the peering, this is also connected, right? So this is as simple as that. Let me just quickly show you the actual connectivity. And if I go to MDI, I have a VM here created for cross test. I can quickly log into this VM. This VM IP address is 10.0.0.4 and public IP is this. Let me log into this VM quickly, bring it over here. Let me bring it over this VM. So I RDP on that VM, the Azure VM in my other source. And now I'm going to try to RDP from here to the other guy and see if I can successfully connect. And that would be the proof, right? My IP address was 192.168.0.4 on the other side of the VM. on the other tenant. And if I can connect here successfully, that means I am in luck. Here you go. So that concludes this session. That means we can easily connect the VNets between Azure tenant using the guest IDs, and it's pretty easy and simple to accomplish. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, great evening on whichever part of the world you are. Bye-bye.